I've been making videos forever, it feels like at this point, but on this channel it's only been a tad over a year. The first couple videos I made focused on Pryde of the X-Men. One video was about the old VHS tape, another was just about some Marvel Legends that resembled the characters from the cartoon. I'm doing it again. I'm going to take a look back at both of these and see if I can add more and do a little bit better at discussing this old VHS that to my young mind was very foreign. First introduction to X-Men was what everyone is now calling X-Men 92. Like most kids from the 90s, we fell instantly in love with the show, with the characters, the action, and definitely the theme song. So imagine what my mind thought when I seen this VHS at a drugstore. I was confused. They mostly all looked familiar, but different. Side note, every time I drive by this drugstore now, it reminds me of getting that VHS as a kid.
As Juggernaut harnesses his battering ram, Magneto reveals his magnetic force.
Lead the attack, Juggernaut.
But waiting are the X-Men.
Evil mutants.
So technically this commercial might have been my true first introduction to the X-Men, but let's not overthink it. There was a local comic shop that had a commercial on TV that played the Pryde of the X-Men theme song, so I was actually aware of the theme before I even knew the cartoon existed. I'm getting sidetracked already. Pryde of the X-Men is a 30-minute animated television pilot that premiered on September the 16th, 1989. As part of the Marvel Action Universe, it was broadcast in syndication and later released on video, marking it as a significant entry in the early animated adaptations of Marvel properties. The pilot was in English, consisting of a single episode, and ran for 30 minutes including commercials. This release date places it within the late 1980s wave of superhero animations, a period when Marvel was exploring animated formats to expand its audience. The pilot was produced by De Pate Freiling Enterprises, probably butchered that, forgive me if I did, and Marvel Productions, which had a history of animated series including Fantastic Four from 1978, Spider-Woman from 1979, Spider-Man from 1981, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends also from 1981, and The Incredible Hulk from 1982. However, financial issues following the pilot led to the halting of all projects except for Muppet Babies, marking it as the end of this particular Marvel animated universe. The 1980s were a golden age for animated superhero shows, with a plethora of series captivating young audiences. Popular shows included Super Friends, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Voltron, and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, as noted in the top 5 superhero cartoons of the 1980s. These shows not only entertained, but also served as marketing tools for toys and other merchandise, a common practice of the time. Pryde of the X-Men was Marvel's attempt to tap into this market with their own team of mutants, who were already popular in comic books. However, unlike the established hits, this pilot faced challenges in securing a full series due to financial constraints and mixed reception. Specifically designed as a pilot for a potential series that never materialized. The pilot also inspired several video games reflecting its cultural impact. X-Men: Madness in Murder World from 1989 was for DOS, Commodore 64, and Amiga. It was developed by Paragon Software. It was a side-scroller with puzzles and included a limited edition comic. The Uncanny X-Men from 1990 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, featuring a near-identical lineup from the pilot but swapping Dazzler for Iceman. It received negative reviews. Konami's 1992 arcade game, X-Men, based on the pilot, featuring Cyclops, Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Dazzler, becoming a notable entry in arcade gaming. Critical reception was mixed. The animation was praised for its quality, but the story was criticized for its campy tone, which contrasted with the grittier themes of the comic books. Specific criticisms included the inclusion of the White Queen in the Brotherhood of Mutants, portraying Kitty Pryde as a damsel in distress, and Wolverine's Australian accent, which deviated from his Canadian roots. These elements sparked debates among fans about fidelity to source material and creative liberties in adaptation. The plot centers on Magneto, a key antagonist who is initially trapped in a force field during a military convoy transport. I already discussed this in my original video, that the height they put Magneto at was extremely exaggerated. They have him at 6'10", which in comparison, I mentioned Kevin Nash. He is freed by the White Queen, a member of his Brotherhood of Mutant Terrorists, and escapes using his powers. This sets the stage for his larger plan, which involves stealing the mutant power circuit from Cerebro at Professor Xavier's school. Kitty Pryde arrives at the school to train her phasing powers and is introduced to the X-Men team: Cyclops, Colossus, Dazzler, Nightcrawler, Storm, and Wolverine. Her initial encounter in the Danger Room is tense, particularly with Nightcrawler's appearance, nearly causing a malfunction which leads Wolverine to protest her recruitment. This dynamic highlights the internal tension within the team and Kitty's outsider status. There's a scene that was cut up a little bit that wasn't on the original VHS way back when.
And beneath the mysterious school in the X-Men's secret hangar.
All right. Cerebro has detected 2 of Magneto's mutant terrorists near the Deep Space Observatory. Check it out. We must learn what his plan is.
Professor, what if his plan is to trap you here alone?
I've installed several new defensive programs in Cerebro since Magneto's last attack. We'll be all right.
Okay, Professor. We'll report back as soon as we make contact.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Magneto's plan unfolds as he sends Pyro and Blob to distract the X-Men while he and Juggernaut invade the X-Mansion to steal Cerebro's component. Professor Xavier, reading Magneto's thoughts, entrusts the circuit to Kitty to flee, but Magneto captures it. The X-Men, returning from their confrontation, find the mansion in ruins with Xavier and Kitty unconscious. Xavier reveals Magneto's intention to redirect the Scorpio Comet to Earth, aiming to cause an ice age to weaken humans and allow mutants to take over. The X-Men head to Magneto's asteroid M, leaving Kitty behind, but she phases aboard the Blackbird with Xavier's permission to prove herself. The battle on Asteroid M is a series of individual confrontations. Storm covers the breach, Dazzler fights Pyro, Wolverine traps Toad. Side note on this, Wolverine for some reason just hangs back and doesn't assist his teammates. I always thought that was strange. Colossus battles Juggernaut, Cyclops fights the White Queen, and Nightcrawler confronts Magneto as the comet approaches. Kitty emerges at a critical moment, causing Magneto to accidentally blast his device's wiring. Nightcrawler uses his body as a conductor, and Kitty uses Magneto's power to redirect the comet towards Asteroid M, risking Nightcrawler's life. The X-Men, watching from the Blackbird, initially think Nightcrawler has disintegrated, but he teleports into the plane, revealing his survival. Despite her efforts, Wolverine insists Kitty is not yet an X-Men member, underscoring her ongoing journey. I do feel like X-Men 97's finale drew some inspiration from this VHS, which DeMeo did really well at threading a lot of the comic stories into a very action-packed season, with a lot of stories blended together for a nice final product. Another side note here, I don't know why, but Korn was a go-to on music or just in the background so much in a few of my early videos. It just kind of happened, and I was tempted to keep that going.
I'm a freak.
That's pretty much it on this. If you want to check out my old video discussing the same exact thing, it's on my channel. If not, that's cool too. Now the figures I showcased really hasn't changed a whole lot, other than I have an older style looking Kitty Pryde, and if the cartoon actually went further than one episode, her costume would have more than likely been this. I do have a better looking Wolverine from the Secret Wars Marvel Legends that probably looks more in tune, and now a Professor Xavier, but to get it to look like this will take some work, and I'm not about to change this figure for that project. The villains haven't changed at all. I still need a Wendigo and a Nimrod, which weren't in the cartoon, but in the arcade game, and still no White Queen because she's very pricey. Come on, Marvel Legends, give us a retro White Queen. Anyway, thanks for sticking around this long, and hopefully I'll continue to entertain you in some other videos. Thanks for watching.